here back with part two of the reading of this week, Genesis chapter 24 to 36 of the Messianic Jewish Family Bible, Tree of Life Version, TLV. I'm just going to kind of recap on chapter 24. Um, as we know, Sarah had passed away in chapter 23, and then it was just Isaac and Abraham, and of course the servants. So Abraham wanted to make sure that Isaac had a wife, so he called to his eldest servant and had him take an oath that he would not find him a wife from among the Canaanite daughters, that he would go to his family. So that is exactly what he did. And Nahor was Abraham's brother, and actually Rebecca was a niece to Abraham. So that kind of gives you a little background here. And Laban, Rebecca's brother, keep in mind this man is going to be in a lot of the readings this week, because we're going to be dealing with him later when we deal with Rebecca and Isaac's son Jacob. But anyway, Laban is Rebecca's brother. They wanted to delay, even though Rebecca had agreed that she would go with this servant and actually marry Isaac. Um, Her mother and brother wanted to delay it by as much as 10 days, and the servant said, "No, hinder me not, because the Lord has prospered my way," basically. And Rebecca said she would go, and that's what happened. And Isaac had been out praying about this, and then he saw Rebecca come, and she put a veil over her face. Um, so that is need to talk about that a little bit. Putting covering a face. She was considered engaged to Isaac at that point. So when that would happen in the custom, this was very customary when a woman was betrothed, that she would wear a veil to signify that she was spoken for. So the future husband would then go to the father's place and prepare a place to take his bride. And does that sound familiar? And when he is ready, the father would go then tell the groomsmen to go and get his bride, and the wedding would take place. And this is a pattern for future event of groomsmen coming for a bride, and that is Yeshua coming for his church. When Yeshua said he was going to prepare a place for us and he would come again to receive us unto himself, he was referring to this very custom, um, and the future of the wedding feast of the Lamb. So the servant told Isaac everything, and Isaac brought her into her mother's, his mother's, I'm sorry, into Sarah's tent, and he took Rebekah as a wife, and he loved her, and Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. So that's how Isaac and Rebekah became a couple. Now, the first part of chapter 25, Abraham's old age and descendants. Now, Abraham took another wife. Her name was Keturah, and she bore him Zimran, Jokshan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. Jokshan fathered Sheba and Dedan. Dedan's sons were Azuram, Ushim rather, and Lumens, and Midian's sons were Ephah, Epher, Hanak, Abida, Elda. All of these were Keturah's sons. Now Abraham gave everything that he had to Isaac, but to the sons of Abraham's concubines, Abraham had given gifts and sent them away from his son Isaac while he was still living, eastward to the land of the east. Now these are the days of the years of Abraham's life that he lived, 175 years. So Abraham breathed his last and died at a good old age, old and satisfied. Then he was gathered to his peoples. Then Isaac and Ishmael, his sons, buried him in the cave of Machpelah in the field of Ephron, son of Zohar the Hittite, next to Mamre, the field that Abraham bought from the sons of Heth. There Abraham is buried, along with Sarah his wife. After Abraham's death, God blessed Isaac his son, and Isaac lived near Beer Lahairoi. And that's spelled Beer hyphen Lahai hyphen Roi. Now these are the genealogies of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar, Sarah's Egyptian slave, bore to Abraham. These are the names of the sons of Ishmael by their names according to their descendants. Ishmael's firstborn, Nebaioth, then Kedar, Abdeel, Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, Massa, Hadad, Tema, Jetor, Nephish, and Kedem. These are Ishmael's sons, and these are their names by their unwalled and walled settlements, 12 princes according to their clans. These are the years of Ishmael's life, 137 years. He breathed his last, died, and was gathered to his peoples. Then they dwelled from Havilah to Shur, which is east of Egypt as you go towards Assyria. Once against all his brothers he fell. I'm sorry, over against all his brothers he fell. Now, the last part of chapter 25, we are actually beginning the Parashat Toledot, and this is about Esau and Jacob. Now, these are the genealogies of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham fathered Isaac. Isaac was 40 years old when he took for himself Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, the Aramean, from Paddan Aram, the sister of Laban, the Aramean, to his wife. Isaac prayed to Adonai on behalf of his wife because she was barren. Adonai answered his plea, and his wife Rebekah became pregnant. But the children struggled with one another inside her, and she said, "If it's like this, why is this happening to me?" So she went to inquire of Adonai. Adonai said to her, "Two nations are in your womb, and two peoples from your body will be separated. One people will be stronger than the other people, but the older will serve the younger." When her time came to give birth, indeed, there were twins in her womb. Now the first came out reddish, all of him was like a fur coat, and they named him Esau. Afterwards his brother came out with his hand holding onto Esau's heel, so he was named Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when he fathered them. When the boys grew up, Esau became a man knowledgeable in hunting, an outdoorsman, while Jacob was a mild man remaining in tents. Now Isaac loved Esau because he had a taste for wild game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Now Jacob cooked a stew. When Esau came in from the field, he was exhausted, so Esau said to Jacob, "Please feed me some of this really red stuff because I'm exhausted." That is why he is called Edom. So Jacob said, "Sell your birthright to me today." Esau said, "Look, I'm about to die. Of whatever use is this to me, a birthright?" Jacob said, "Well, make a pledge to me now." So he made a pledge to him and sold his birthright to Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and lentil stew, and he ate and drank, then got up and left. So Esau despised his birthright. He gave up his birthright for lentil stew and bread. Just a little word about this. The birthright is usually given to the firstborn. Um, so for him to give that up was really a lot. And the birthright, is very important, even to today. So when they were born, actually, Jacob was holding on to Esau's heel, wrestling with this, but he was not the firstborn. So as they grew, you know, Esau was a cunning hunter, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. So when he came in and said he was faint and needed to have food, and he was willing to sell up his birthright for a bowl of stew and bread, what he did was rather foolish, and Esau would regret this and resent Jacob later and realize what he did was very, very foolish. So, chapter 26 is confirming the covenant with Isaac. Now, there was a famine in the land, aside from the previous famine that happened in Abraham's day. So, Isaac went to King Abimelech of the Philistines to Gerar. Then Adonai appeared to him and said, "Do not go down to Egypt. Dwell in the land about which I tell you. Live as an outsider in this land, and I will be with you and bless you. For to you and to your seed I give all these lands. And I will confirm my pledge that I swore to Abraham your father. I will multiply your seed like the stars of the sky, and I will give your seed all these lands. And in your seed all the nations of the earth will continually be blessed. Because Abraham listened to my voice and kept my charge, my mitzvot, my decrees, and my instructions, so Isaac stayed in Gerar. And mitzvot actually means commandments. That's the Hebrew word for commandments. Now the men of that place asked about his wife, so he said, "She is my sister." So he did the same thing that his father did with Sarah. He called Rebekah his sister, because he was afraid to say, "She's my wife," or else the men of the place might kill him on account of Rebekah because she's good looking. Now after he had been there for a long time, King Abimelech of the Philistines peered down through the window and saw, behold, Isaac caressing his wife Rebekah. And so Abimelech called Isaac and said, "So in fact she's your wife. Now, how could you say she's my sister?" Isaac said to him, "Because I said, or else I might die because of her." Then Abimelech said, "What is it that you have done to us? One of the people could have easily slept with your wife, and you would have brought guilt on us." So Abimelech commanded all of the people, saying, "Whoever touches this man or his wife will surely die." Now, there's a verse in Hebrews 12:16 that addresses what happened with Esau and Jacob, just to backtrack just a little bit. Also, see to it that there is no immoral or godless person like Esau who sold his birthright for one meal. So, we're going to continue with chapter 26. There's this a new heading here is Adonai blesses Isaac. Then Isaac sowed in that land and in that year reaped 100-fold. Adonai blessed him, and the man became great and continued to become greater until he became very great. He acquired livestock of sheep and livestock of cattle and numerous servants. Then the Philistines envied him. All the wells that his father's servant had dug in the days of his father Abraham, the Philistines stopped up and filled with dirt. So Abimelech said to Isaac, "Go away from us, for you are much more powerful than us." So Isaac departed from there, camped in the valley of Gerar, and dwelled there. Then Isaac dug again the wells of water that had been dug in the days of his father Abraham. The Philistines had stopped them up after Abraham's death. He gave them the same names that his father had given them. Then Isaac's servants dug in the valley and found a well of living water there. But the shepherds of Gerar quarreled, the shepherds of Gerar quarreled with Isaac's shepherds, saying, "The water is ours." So he named the well Quarrel, because they quarreled with him. Then he dug another well, and they quarreled over it too. So he named it Accusation. Then he moved from there and dug another well, and they did not quarrel over it. So he named it Wide Spaces and said, "Because now Adonai has created wide spaces for us, and we will be fruitful in the land." He went up from there to Beersheba. Adonai appeared to him that night and said, "I am the God of your father Abraham. Do not be afraid, for I am with you, and I will bless you and multiply your seed for the sake of Abraham, my servant." So he built an altar there and called on the name of Adonai. He pitched his tent there, and Isaac's servant hollowed out a well there. The last section in chapter 26 is entitled Covenant of Isaac and Abimelech. Now Abimelech went to him from Gerar, along with Achuzat, his friend, and Phicol, the commander of his army. Isaac said to them, "Why have you come to me, since you hate me, and sent me away from you?" And he said, "We've clearly seen that Adonai has been with you." So we said, "Let there now be an agreement between us and you. Let us make a covenant with you, that you will do us no harm, just as we haven't touched you, and just as we did nothing to you but good, and sent you away in shalom, in peace. You are now blessed by Adonai." Then he made a feast for them, and they ate and drank. Then they got up early in the morning and made a pledge, each to his brother, Then Isaac sent them away, and they departed from him in shalom, in peace. Now it happened that on the day Isaac's servants came and told him about the well that they had dug, and said to him, "We've found water." So he called it Pledge. That is why the city's name is Beersheba to this day. When Esau was 40 years old, he took as a wife Judith, the daughter of Beeri the Hittite, and Basemath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite. But they caused a bitterness spirit for Isaac and Rebekah, because these were Hittites. Chapter 27, Jacob tricks Isaac. Now this gets more interesting. He's now tricked him actually out of his birthright, but he continues on. Now, it was when Isaac grew old and his eyes were too dim to see that he called Esau, his elder son, and said to him, "My son." "Here I am," he said to him. "Look, I'm old," he said. "I don't know the day of my death, so now please take your weapons, your quiver, and your bow, and go out to the field and hunt me some game. Then prepare me a delicious meal that I love, and bring it to me so that I may eat, so that my soul may bless you before I die." Now Rebekah was listening when Isaac was speaking to Esau his son. So while Esau went to the field to hunt game to bring in, Rebekah said to Jacob her son, "Look, I heard your father speaking to your brother Esau, saying, 'Bring me some game and prepare me a delicious meal that I may eat and bless you in Adonai's presence before my death.' So now, my son, listen to my voice, to what I am commanding you. Go now to the flock and bring me two good young goats from there, so that I may prepare them as a delicious meal for your father that he'll love. Then you'll bring it to your father to eat, so that he may bless you before his death." But Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, "Look, my brother Esau is a hairy man, but I'm a smooth man. Perhaps my father will touch me, and he'll take me for a mocker, and I'll bring upon myself a curse and not a blessing." Then his mother said to him, "Let your curse fall on me, my son. Just listen to me and go, get them for me." So he went and got them and brought them to his mother, and his mother prepared a delicious meal that his father would love. Rebekah also took her elder son's Esau's favorite clothes that were with her in the house, and she put them on her younger son Jacob, along with the skins of the young goats on his hands, on the hairless parts of his neck. She put the delicious meal and the bread that she had prepared in the hand of Jacob, her son. Then he came to his father and said, "My father." He said, "I'm here." "Who are you, my son?" Then Jacob said to his father, "I'm your firstborn Esau. I've done just what you said to me. Sit up, please, and eat some of my wild game, so that your soul may bless me." Then Isaac said to his son, "How in the world were you able to find it so quickly, my son?" He said, "Because Adonai your God made it happen for me." Then Isaac said to Jacob, "Please come closer so I can feel you, my son, whether or not you really are my son Esau." So Jacob came closer to his father Isaac, and he felt him. Then he said, "The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are Esau's hands." He did not recognize him because his hands were like the hairy hands of his brother Esau. So he blessed him. But he said, "Are you really my son Esau?" He said, "I am." Then he said, "Bring it to me, and I'll eat some of my son's wild game, so that my soul may bless you." So he brought it to him, and he ate, and he brought him wine, and he drank. Then his father Isaac said to him, "Please come closer and kiss me, my son." So he came closer and kissed him. When he smelled the smell of his clothes, he blessed him and said, "Behold, the smell of my son is like the smell of a field that Adonai has blessed. May God give you from the dew of the sky and from the fatness of the land an abundance of grain and new wine. May peoples serve you, and may nations bow down to you. Be master over your brothers. May your mother's sons bow down to you. May those who curse you be cursed, and may those who bless you be blessed." No sooner had Isaac finished blessing Jacob, and Jacob had gone out from his father Isaac's presence, than Esau his brother came in from his hunting. Then he also prepared a delicious meal and brought it to his father. And he said to his father, "Let my father get up and eat of his son's wild game, that your soul may bless me." His father Isaac said, "Who are you?" And he said, "I am your son, your firstborn Esau." Then Isaac trembled with intense trembling and said, "Who was it then that hunted wild game and brought it to me?" I ate it all just before you came, and I blessed him, and yes, he will be blessed." When Esau heard his father's words, he shouted with an intensely bitter groan. Then he said to his father, "Bless me, me too, my father." Then he said, "Your brother came deceitfully and took your blessing." He said, "Is this why he was named Jacob? Since he's tricked me twice already, my birthright he's taken. Look, now he's taken my blessing." Then he said, "Haven't you saved a blessing for me?" Isaac answered and said to Esau, "Behold, I've made him master over you, and all your brothers I've given to him as servants. I've provided him with grain and new wine. What then can I do for you, my son?" Esau said to his father, "Do you just have one blessing, my father? Bless me too, my father." And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Then Isaac his father said to him, "Behold, away from the land's fatness shall your dwelling be, away from the dew of the sky above. By your sword shall you live, and your brother shall serve you. And when you tear yourself loose, you will tear his yoke off your neck." Now, I need to pause it here because I'm already at 16. And I'm going to come back and read the rest of chapter 27.